Jamukha. Jamukha did not fall because a foreign army found him. He fell because his own men decided he was worth more as a prisoner than as a leader. Before Temujin became Genghis Khan, Jamukha was one of the most powerful names on the steppe. He was not just an enemy. He was once Temujin's sworn brother, a man close enough to share loyalty before ambition split them apart. But Jamukha represented an older world. He believed power belonged to the noble bloodlines of the steppe. Temujin was building something different. He rewarded skill, loyalty, and usefulness. That made him dangerous, because men who had no place in the old order suddenly had a future under him. Jamukha still had warriors. He still had a name. He was even proclaimed Gur Khan, a universal ruler, by tribes who opposed Temujin. But a title is only strong while men are willing to bleed for it. After years of rivalry, defeat, and shrinking support, Jamukha's companions betrayed him and handed him over to Temujin. They expected reward. They did not understand Temujin. To him, men who betrayed their own lord could never be trusted. Jamukha's betrayers were punished, but Jamukha himself was offered a way back. He refused. He knew there could not be two suns in one sky. So the man who once stood as Temujin's equal chose death over becoming a living shadow of Genghis Khan. Jamukha's betrayal was not only the end of one rival, it was the death of the old steppe order. But betrayal did not disappear after Genghis united the Mongols. It moved inside his own family. Ariq Böke. Ariq Böke lost the empire from the place that was supposed to protect him, Karakoram, the old Mongol heartland. When Mongol Khan died in 1259, the empire had no clear successor. The Mongols had conquered too much land for power to move smoothly. Armies were far away. Princes ruled different regions. Every branch of the family believed it had a claim. Ariq Böke had the traditional advantage. He was in Mongolia. He had support among conservative Mongol elites. He stood close to the old capital and the old way of life. But his brother Kublai had something stronger: resources. Kublai controlled rich territories in northern China. He had soldiers, supplies, administrators, and a political machine that could survive a long struggle. Both brothers claimed the title of Great Khan. The war that followed was not just a family fight. It was a sign that the Mongol Empire was beginning to split into pieces. Ariq Böke's real betrayal came slowly. Allies who had once supported him began calculating survival. Commanders changed sides. The old capital could not feed his cause. The empire that had been built on mobility, speed, and loyalty now became trapped by supply lines and rival courts. By 1264, Ariq Böke surrendered to Kublai. He was not cut down in a heroic final battle. He was absorbed, judged, and imprisoned by his own brother's victory. He died in 1266, under circumstances that later seemed suspicious to some. Ariq Böke's tragedy was simple. He had the old Mongol legitimacy. Kublai had the future. And in empire, the future usually wins. The next Khan did not lose because he lacked power. He lost because he trusted the wrong silence inside his own court. Ahmad Takudur thought the throne could wait. That was his mistake. He was the Ilkhan of Persia, a grandson of the Mongol conquest through the line of Hulagu. He had inherited a world where Mongol princes, Persian officials, Muslim leaders, Christian communities, Buddhist nobles, and military commanders all watched one another carefully. Takudur had converted to Islam and took the name Ahmad. That did not automatically destroy him, but it made parts of the Mongol elite suspicious. In their eyes, the Ilkhan was not only a ruler, he was supposed to protect the old military order that had brought them power. Then came his nephew Arghun. Arghun challenged him, and for a moment, Takudur had the advantage. Arghun was captured and placed under guard. This was the moment where a ruthless ruler would have ended the threat. Takudur hesitated. He left Arghun alive. That mercy gave betrayal time to breathe. The Amir Buka, once connected to Takudur's side, turned against him. He freed Arghun, killed Takudur's remaining supporters in the camp, and changed the direction of the entire struggle. Takudur fled, but flight is difficult when the court has already chosen another son to rise. He was captured and handed over to Arghun. Soon after, he was executed in a royal manner that avoided spilling noble blood. Takudur was not destroyed by a foreign enemy. He was destroyed by the men who understood the palace better than he did. His mistake was believing a captured rival was a finished rival. In Mongol politics, a living rival was never finished. But in the Golden Horde, betrayal could look even colder. Sometimes it came dressed as a family meeting. Talabuga. Talabuga wanted to prove he was not a puppet. That desire killed him. He became Khan of the Golden Horde in the late 13th century, but real power did not sit cleanly in one pair of hands. Beside him stood Nogai, the great kingmaker of the Western Steppe. Nogai was not always the official Khan, but he had armies, influence, and the kind of authority that made rulers nervous. Talabuga had reason to feel trapped. He campaigned in Eastern Europe. He fought in Poland and Hungary. He tried to act like a ruler with his own will. But failures and hardships made him resent Nogai. To Talabuga, Nogai was not helping enough. To Nogai, Talabuga was becoming dangerous. That is how betrayal begins. Not with hatred at first, with suspicion. Talabuga was reportedly drawn into a meeting while believing Nogai was weak or ill. The setup was simple and deadly. Make the Khan feel safe. Make him reduce his guard. Make him walk into the place where his title no longer matters. When Talabuga arrived with limited protection, Nogai's side moved. The Khan was seized and killed. Then Tokhta was placed on the throne. That was the lesson. In the Golden Horde, being Khan did not always mean holding power. Sometimes it meant sitting in the most visible place while stronger men decided when to remove you. Talabuga wanted to prove he was not Nogai's puppet. Instead, Nogai proved he could replace him. The next Khan understood betrayal so well that he tried to kill it before it could grow. He failed. Berdi Beg. Berdi Beg ruled like a man haunted by blood. When he became Khan of the Golden Horde in 1357, he understood the danger of family. In Mongol politics, brothers, cousins, uncles, and nephews were not only relatives, they were possible claimants. So Berdi Beg chose fear. He eliminated close kinsmen to secure his throne. It was ruthless, but it also revealed weakness. A ruler who must destroy his own family to feel safe has already admitted that the throne is not secure. For a short time, it worked. No rival from his closest circle could easily rise against him. But violence has a hidden cost. It empties the room, it removes enemies, but it also removes the bonds that might hold a dynasty together when the next crisis comes. In 1359, Berdi Beg was murdered. The details are not perfectly clean, but the result was unmistakable. Batu's line soon became extinct, and the Golden Horde fell into the long chaos known as the Great Troubles, where rival Khans fought for the throne. That is the irony of Berdi Beg's life. He tried to prevent betrayal by killing potential betrayers, but the betrayal still came. Only now, there was no strong family structure left to absorb the shock. Berdi Beg did not just lose his life. He helped break the dynasty that had made his life possible. And then came the last great Khan of the Golden Horde, a man who restored power so violently that he began to believe it could not turn against him. Tokhtamysh. Tokhtamysh rose like a man history was giving a second chance. The Golden Horde had been weakened by years of civil war. Then Tokhtamysh, with the help of Timur, reunited major parts of the Horde and brought back its old confidence. In 1382, he struck Moscow and reasserted Horde power over the Russians. For a moment, he looked like the return of the old terror. But Tokhtamysh made the mistake that destroys many rulers. He confused rescue with weakness. Timur had helped him rise. Tokhtamysh later turned against him, raiding into regions Timur considered his own sphere. This was more than a political mistake. It was a betrayal of the man who had helped build his power. Timur answered like Timur. In 1395, he invaded the lands of the Golden Horde, broke Tokhtamysh's power, and devastated Sarai. After that, Tokhtamysh was no longer the great restorer. He was a man trying to recover a throne that kept moving away from him. His own political world began to close in. Rivals rose. Former supporters shifted. Edigu, one of the strongest figures in the Horde, became his relentless enemy. Years later, Tokhtamysh was killed near Tumen after being drawn into danger by a rumor that Edigu had died. That is what makes his end so painful. Tokhtamysh had built himself through alliance, war, and betrayal. In the end, those same forces hunted him down. He restored the Golden Horde for a moment, but he could not restore trust. And without trust, Even a Khan is only a man waiting for the next rider to change sides. The Mongols conquered the known world, but they could never conquer their own courts. From Jamukha to Toktamish, the greatest threat to a Khan wasn't a foreign superpower. It was the quiet ambition of the men riding right beside them. In an empire built on absolute power, the closest ally was always the most dangerous enemy. If you want to uncover more hidden power struggles and brutal betrayals from history, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment on which Khan had the most tragic end, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive.